Oh, the memories of marriage. 5 years in, and I started feeling this chilling disconnect with Owen. It wasn't just the usual red flags, the phone guarding the late nights. It was the drip, drip, drip of his cruel little comments, like venom slowly poisoning everything. Maybe if you lost some weight, I wouldn't need to work so late, he sneered one night when I dared to question him about rolling in at 2 a.m., reeking of cheap perfume. Or the time he accidentally showed our friends a truly awful photo of me sleeping, mouth agape, captioned, "Living with this every night," in our group chat. When I confronted him, his response was ice cold. "Learn to take a joke, or people will think you're pathetic." My stomach clenched every time. There was the dinner party where I was mid-story, and he just cut me off, laughing. Don't mind her. She gets confused about basic facts. It's cute, but embarrassing. Then he patted my hand, like I was a small, confused child. My best friend, Brenda, texted me later, her words a lifeline. "Are you okay? Owen was being a complete asshole to you." Every year, we hosted this huge charity fundraiser at our house. It was my thing. I organized everything, invited over 50 people, our families, friends, coworkers, neighbors. I'd poured months of my life into this one because we were raising money for the children's hospital where my sweet niece had received treatment. The night of the event, everything was perfect. We'd raised almost 15K, people were having a blast, and I felt a surge of genuine pride for what we'd accomplished. Then Owen asked for everyone's attention. He clinked his glass, a smug smile playing on his lips, and announced he had a surprise that couldn't wait. My first thought was he'd secured some massive, last-minute donation. Instead, he pulled out a small jewelry box, got down on one knee in front of me. The room gasped. We were already married, so what the hell was happening? He opened the box to reveal a sparkling diamond eternity band and, to the entire, stunned crowd, announced that I was pregnant after our long struggle with fertility. My blood ran cold. I wasn't pregnant. We weren't even trying. I was utterly stunned. But before I could even formulate a single word, the room erupted. People were crying, cheering, hugging me. My mom broke down sobbing, whispering about her first grandchildren. His parents were already discussing names. My boss was there, promising extended maternity leave. Owen slipped the ring on my finger, pulled me into a tight embrace, and whispered, "Just go with it," in my ear. Then he kissed me deeply, like we were having this incredibly beautiful, intimate moment. I felt physically sick, my world spinning, but I couldn't process what was happening fast enough to react. For hours, I had to pretend. People touched my stomach, offered advice, asked about due dates. Meanwhile, Owen was beaming, accepting congratulations, acting like father of the year. I was trapped in a living nightmare, smiling through gritted teeth while fundraising for children's cancer. I couldn't even escape to cry, because it was my event. When everyone finally left, the polite facade shattered. I confronted him, my voice trembling with disbelief. He just laughed it off, said he thought it would be cute to announce it this way, and we could just tell everyone I'd lost them in a few weeks. Who does that? When I pressed harder, his face hardened. He got annoyed, told me I was overreacting, and that I should be grateful for the expensive ring. I couldn't sleep that night. His behavior wasn't just bizarre, it was cruel, calculated. Around 3 a.m., I heard his phone buzz. He was passed out, reeking of alcohol, so I picked it up. My hands were shaking as I saw the message from Steve W. "Did she buy it? Is it done?" My heart plummeted. Steve wasn't Steve. It was Tracy, his pregnant girlfriend of 18 months. The fake pregnancy announcement. It was Owen's sick, twisted solution to explain why he'd need to be supporting a friend through tough times, when in reality, he'd be with Tracy during her pregnancy. I scrolled through hundreds of messages, photos of them together, screenshots of my personal calendar, so he could plan their dates when I was busy. Pictures of me that he'd sent her, mocking me. He'd been sharing our most intimate conversations, our financial details. And then, the final, gut-wrenching blow. They'd been in our home while I was at my mom's birthday weekend. They'd slept in our bed, taken pictures in our shower. She'd tried on my clothes. And the pregnancy test? They'd taken it that very morning. She was actually pregnant. With his child. I didn't confront him. Not then. A cold, hard resolve settled over me. I made a plan. Over the next week, I played the part, pretending everything was normal. But secretly, I contacted Tracy. To my surprise, she had no idea Owen was married. He told her I was his unstable sister, living with him because I couldn't function alone. The photos of us together? Explained away as keeping up appearances for family. She was devastated, utterly shell-shocked. We met secretly. She showed me more evidence. Love letters, gifts, plans they'd made for their future. He'd even bought them tickets to Paris for a baby moon, using our joint account. He'd been systematically stealing from our savings to fund his double life. Over $10,000 gone. 3 weeks after Owen's horrifying announcement, I organized a pregnancy celebration dinner at our house. I invited everyone who'd been at the fundraiser. Family, friends, colleagues, neighbors. Owen was nervous, but played along, thinking I'd finally accepted the lie. It was a trap, and Owen walked right into it. As everyone gathered, plates of catered Italian food in their hands, wine flowing, my mom beaming from ear to ear, Owen had his arm around me, squeezing my shoulder like the world's proudest husband. I could feel my jaw clench, but I smiled. Oh, I smiled. I'd worked so damn hard for this moment. Honestly, if you've ever had to fake joy while your insides are boiling, you know the feeling. My stomach was in knots. My hands were shaking so bad, I almost dropped my glass. But I kept it together. I let everyone settle in, chatting, passing around baby name books. Someone actually brought one. I kid you not. Owen's dad was already offering to build a crib, my mom whispering to my aunt about knitting tiny hats. I stood up, tapped my glass, and asked for attention. Owen looked at me with a smug, "See, I told you this would be fun," sort of smile. I wanted to slap it off his face, but I didn't. I just smiled back. "Thank you all for being here," I said, my voice steady despite the tremor in my chest. "You've all been so supportive. It means the world to me and Owen." I swallowed so hard I almost choked. "I told you I'd have a little presentation about our journey to parenthood. So, let's walk down memory lane together." I hooked my laptop up to the TV and started the slideshow. At first, it was normal stuff. Photos of Owen and me from when we first met, our wedding, vacations, dumb couple selfies. The crowd was eating it up, laughing. Aw, ing. And then I flipped the slide. The first text appeared on the screen, a screenshot. It was Owen texting Steve W., but the message was coming from Tracy's actual number. I made sure to highlight it. The message. Did she buy it? Is it done? The room went silent. Dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. Owen's smug smile evaporated, replaced by a look of pure confusion, then panic. I clicked again. The next slide, a photo of Tracy, smiling, very clearly pregnant, standing in our bathroom, holding up a positive test. The timestamp was right there. My shower curtain, my shampoo bottle, my robe on the hook. People started shifting. My cousin gasped. My dad's jaw dropped. I clicked again. Screenshots of messages. Owen sending Tracy pictures of me. Captioned, "Look at her. Can you believe she still thinks I love her?" The room began to murmur a low, angry hum. Owen was frozen. He tried to stand, tried to say something, but I just raised my hand. "Sit down." I was shaking, but I didn't care. I was done letting him control the narrative. Next slide. Bank statements. Transfers from our joint account to some Paris travel fund. Receipts for gifts. A plane ticket to Paris, both their names. I zoomed in on the dates, right after my supposed miscarriage. The room was turning on him. His mom looked like she was about to vomit. I kept going. More messages. Tracy's love letters to Owen. Photos of them in my clothes, in my bed. Brenda covered her mouth, looked at me like she wanted to kill him herself. The final slide, a WhatsApp message from Owen to Tracy, bragging about how easy it was to convince the crazy sister, me, to host the fundraiser, and how he'd used the pregnancy as cover to spend more time with Tracy once her belly started to show. I left it up for a solid 10 seconds, letting everyone read it. I wanted it burned into their memories. And then I closed the laptop. I looked right at Owen. He was white as a sheet, sweating, stammering, trying to explain himself, but he couldn't string together a single coherent sentence. He looked around for a friendly face, but there was nothing. Not even his mom would look at him. "So, Owen," I said, my voice steady, "do you want to tell everyone the real reason you needed so much support lately? Or should I keep going?" He tried to talk. He really did. He stood up, started blabbering about me being unstable, confused, that it was all a misunderstanding. He claimed Tracy was just a friend, that the texts were out of context. Yeah, out of context. At this point, my mom, my sweet, gentle, cardigan-wearing mom, stood up. She walked over to him, looked him dead in the eye, and said, with a quiet fury that surprised everyone, "Get out of my daughter's house." Then, in front of everyone, she took the eternity band off my finger and threw it at him. It bounced off his chest and landed right in his pasta. I swear to God, I almost laughed. Owen tried to grab my arm, but my dad stepped in, shoved him back. There was yelling. My uncle stepped between us. A couple of his friends tried to intervene, but my sister was already on the phone calling Tracy. I had warned her ahead of time that she might need to show up. Tracy, to her credit, was already parked outside with her mom, wanting backup. And honestly, I get it. Tracy walked in, pregnant belly and all. She made eye contact with Owen and just said, "You told me she was your sister." The room erupted. His parents started shouting at him. My mom was crying, but this time, in relief and anger. Brenda hugged me so tight, I could barely breathe. Tracy's mom was fully ready to throw hands. And Owen? He tried to run. Actually tried to bolt out of the house. Except my neighbor, bless her heart, 5 feet 2 inches, retired volleyball coach, Brenda, blocked the door. "You're not going anywhere until you explain yourself," she declared. So now he was trapped, surrounded by everyone he'd lied to for years, and he had no idea what to say. He finally started yelling at me, calling me vindictive, crazy, saying I was ruining his life, that I set him up. I let him scream. I didn't care. I was shaking, but I was not moving. Not this time. I looked at everyone. I'm not pregnant. I was never pregnant. I motioned to Tracy, who was sobbing into her mom's arms. But Owen's girlfriend is. He's been lying to all of us, stealing from me, cheating, gaslighting me for years. I turned back to Owen, my voice clear and steady. "You're done here." My dad opened the door. Owen finally bolted, slamming into the porch railing on the way out, nearly falling down the steps. That night, I barely slept. The adrenaline was insane. I kept replaying everything in my head. My phone was blowing up with messages. Some people apologizing for not seeing it sooner. Some just checking I was okay. Tracy and I ended up texting until 3 a.m. She was devastated, but also relieved, in a weird way, to finally know the truth. But the fallout? Oh, the fallout was just beginning. Owen's stuff was still in the house. His parents were texting me, begging me not to press charges. My boss was asking if I needed time off. Tracy's mom wanted to know if we could meet. And Owen? He was about to find out what happens when you humiliate and betray the wrong woman. This story, believe it or not, was just the beginning. The aftermath brought a whole new level of chaos. If you're finding yourself glued to the saga, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what happens next, because I promise you, I am not letting this end quietly. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind. My phone was a landmine of texts, DMs, even voicemails. At first, it was all, "OMG, are you okay?" But it didn't take long for Owen to start spinning his web of lies again. Despite being utterly caught, he was reaching out to mutual friends, my extended family, his entire side, claiming I'd lost it, hacked his phone, and fabricated messages because I couldn't handle him leaving. The sheer audacity. And, terrifyingly, it worked on some people, the conflict-avoidant ones who just wanted things to go back to normal. Here's the part that still makes my jaw clench. Owen's parents, who had witnessed the entire theatrical reveal in my living room, didn't call me. Not even a "how are you doing?" Instead, his mom texted my mom, saying it was unfortunate how the situation was handled and suggesting Owen collect his things without further escalation. My mom, usually the most patient, tea-brewing person alive, practically hissed down the line when she told me. If anyone is doing the escalating, she fumed, it's their son. Owen, meanwhile, was blowing up my phone with messages that grew progressively nastier. At first, it was the classic, "Let's talk like adults. We can fix this if you just apologize for embarrassing me." Apologize? For exposing his actual double life? I had no words. When I ignored him, it turned to threats. He swore he'd make sure everyone knew what I'd done, that I'd be sorry when people find out who you really are. He even accused me of ruining Tracy's life and warned me to watch myself because people talk. I blocked him. He started emailing. Blocked those. He tried random numbers, then mutual friends, then even called my dad. My dad, who never liked Owen even at our wedding, simply answered and said, "Lose my number." I found out later when Dad showed up at my place, holding his phone like it had a disease. The family fallout was next level. My mom, ever the peacemaker, wanted to host a healing dinner with Owen's parents, roast chicken and store-bought pie to untangle 5 years of lies. My dad, on the other hand, wanted to file a police report for fraud. Bless his heart, he doesn't quite grasp legal definitions, but points for effort. My brother, Hank, started a group chat called "Owen is Dead to US" and kept adding Owen back every time he left, just to annoy him. But the wildest part? Tracy. I honestly thought she'd vanish, but she called me. "I don't know who to talk to," she confessed, her voice thin with exhaustion. "My mom is furious and wants to move us out of state. Owen keeps showing up at my work. I don't know what to do." I told her flat out I wasn't her therapist, but I'm not a monster either. She needed someone who understood Owen's manipulative mind, and apparently, that someone was me. We met at a coffee shop, neutral ground, her mom parked outside, watching me like I might bite. Tracy looked like she hadn't slept in a month. She pushed a stack of Owen's love letters and baby receipts across the table. "He's still sending me these," she said. With my money, I might add. She was considering a restraining order. I had no advice. I was barely getting through my own day. We sat there, two women lied to in a weird, almost normal moment. Back home, normal was a distant memory. I had to deal with the practical stuff. Changing the locks, figuring out which bills were in my name, not as many as I thought. My mom insisted on helping pack Owen's junk, showing up with empty suitcases, lemon bars, and a lecture about boundaries while reorganizing my pantry. Dad came by twice, mostly to glare at the door and threaten to break Owen's legs if he showed up. Then Owen started playing dirty, a relentless campaign of petty sabotage. He emailed our landlord, claiming I was no longer a resident and harassing him and his pregnant partner, trying to get me taken off the lease. I had to send over my ID, utility bills, and our marriage certificate to prove I lived there. The landlord was awkward, hinting one of us should move for peace of mind. The biggest shock was how many people refused to pick a side. "Let's just move on. It's none of our business." And, my personal favorite, "These things are never black and white." Like, sorry, but if your spouse fakes your pregnancy to cover for his real one with someone else, I'm pretty sure that's not a gray area. Owen tried to come back for his stuff. I told him to text a list. I'd leave it on the porch. Instead, he showed up while I was home, pounding on the door, yelling I was hiding his property. My dad arrived in 10 minutes flat. A silent standoff on the porch. Owen left, but not before threatening to call the cops. I told him to go ahead. My parents ramped up. Mom called Owen's mom, who insisted marriage is hard and boys will be boys. I almost threw up hearing that secondhand. Mom snapped that if Owen showed up again, she'd file a restraining order. Dad started researching marital asset division, leaving printouts all over my kitchen. Thanks, Dad. I did talk to Owen one last time in the driveway. No way was he getting inside. He tried to act calm, but then ranted about me ruining everything. I told him he did that all by himself. He got in my face, accusing me of manipulating Tracy and stealing his money. I told him if he harassed either of us again, I'd file a restraining order. He laughed, but his hands were shaking. I stood my ground. You're not coming back in. End of story. He left, but not before slamming his fist into the mailbox, so hard the door fell off. Such a fitting metaphor. Tracy and I aren't friends. Not really, but there's a weird connection. She texts me late at night with updates, and I send short, blunt replies. I helped her block his number and lock down her socials. The money problem was a nightmare. Owen had drained more from our joint account than I realized. I had to go through months of statements, sending them to the bank to freeze the account. Owen kept trying to reset the password, trying to use the account from other cities. The fraud alerts were constant. At home, I couldn't relax. Every sound outside made me jump. Dad installed a camera by the front door, which just made me more aware of the constant threat. Everything felt like too much and not enough. When does it get normal again? Does it ever? The most surprising thing was how much people wanted a clear-cut good guy and bad guy. Did you see any signs? Do you think you drove him to cheat? As if betrayal is a neat equation. Owen's always been a little mean, sharp with his jokes, but I thought it was stress or inherited from his mom, who's the same. I thought if I just let things go, he'd chill out. Turns out, letting things go just made him push further. So, yeah, that's where things are now. I'm not living some brave, new life. I'm still in the house, still dealing with landlord calls about cooperation, still trying to get Owen's name off utility bills. Tracy's still dealing with her own mess. Brenda's trying to drag me out, but the idea of seeing people is exhausting. But here's the thing. I'm not letting Owen back in. Not physically, not emotionally, not financially. Every day, I get a little more stubborn about that. The last time he tried to get in touch, through a mutual friend, I told him if he came near here again, the locks would change and the cops would be on speed dial. And then today, I got a letter, hand-delivered, from Owen's lawyer. He's threatening to sue me for defamation and emotional distress, demanding equitable division of assets. The car, half the savings, and compensation for lost business opportunities because I slandered him publicly. I just stood there in my kitchen, letter in hand, trying to decide if I should laugh or scream. So, if you're still reading, congrats. You've made it to the end of this round. I wish I could say I know what happens next, but honestly, I'm just getting started. The legal stuff just kept grinding. My lawyer, Greta, was good, but there's only so much you can do when the other side is allergic to reality. Owen's lawyer sent another letter, demanding immediate mediation. Greta told me it was just more posturing, but I felt like I was being stalked by paperwork. Every day, a new envelope or email. There's a weird kind of tired that comes from fighting over the same stuff on repeat, like being stuck in a glitchy video game. Owen would text about his tools, then his PlayStation, then how I owed him for emotional labor. I started leaving his stuff on the porch in boxes labeled in Sharpie. Tools, electronics, junk. He'd pick them up at weird hours, never alone, always with someone. The tension was always there, like a thunderstorm that wouldn't break. And then there was Tracy. I didn't expect her to stay in touch, but she did. A couple of times a week, mostly late-night texts. Sometimes a photo of her cat, sometimes a meme, sometimes venting about Owen's guilt trip emails. Her mom called once, too, asking if I'd heard anything about Owen planning something. Tracy was due any day now. The last time we met, her idea was at a small cafe. She looked so tired. She wanted to know if I thought Owen would really try for custody. I told her honestly, I didn't know what Owen was capable of anymore, but to keep her family close and document everything. My parents kept circling, each on their own orbit. Mom baked enough muffins for a small army and tried to convince me to take a spa weekend. Dad spent a suspicious amount of time in the garage fixing things that didn't need fixing and going on walks that just happened to pass Owen's place. Hank started a spreadsheet of potential replacement sons-in-law, which was mostly 90s boy band members and that guy from the gym who always wears Crocs. At least he made me laugh. But the house itself started to feel less like mine. I caught myself looking at the walls, the stupid lamp Owen insisted was retro, the rug he bought at a yard sale. It felt like living in someone else's leftovers. The landlord kept calling, hinting it might be better if I moved out when the lease was up. I started half-heartedly scrolling Zillow, not ready to make a decision, but just wanting to see what else was out there. Everything was too expensive, too far, too not home. The real escalation came not with a bang, but a series of tiny, stupid annoyances. First, the utilities. Owen had tried to get the internet shut off for non-payment, even though I'd already switched it to my name. Then the car insurance. He reported the car stolen, even though the title was in both our names. That one actually brought a cop to the house, who, after a very awkward 15 minutes, left looking bored. The car stayed with me, but the paperwork seemed endless. Then the trash bill. Owen hadn't been paying it for months, and the company was threatening to stop pickup. I called, explained everything, paid the balance, and asked them to put it in my name. The lady on the phone sounded utterly exhausted, like she dealt with this drama daily. "Just make sure he can't call to cancel anything else," she said. If only it were that easy. But the worst was the day Owen's mom showed up at the house. No warning. Just rang the bell at 9 a.m. on a Saturday, holding a box of Owen's childhood mementos and a folder of papers she wanted me to sign. She started in with the same old lines. "Boys will be boys. You shouldn't make things harder than they need to be. Family is all you have." I told her, as politely as I could, that I wasn't signing anything until my lawyer had seen it and that she needed to stop showing up unannounced. She tried to push past me, said she just wanted to get a few things from Owen's old room. I blocked the door. She tried to guilt-trip me, but I didn't move. Eventually, she gave up, left the box on the porch, and shuffled back to her car. That night, I got a text from Tracy. She was in the hospital, early labor, baby coming. She said she was scared, didn't want Owen to know yet, but wanted me to know just in case. I didn't go, obviously, but I texted her back, told her she'd be a good mom and that she wasn't alone. The next day, she sent a picture of a healthy baby girl. I showed my mom, who cried. Dad said, "At least some good came out of all this." Hank added the baby's name to his spreadsheet, which made everyone laugh, even through the weirdness. If there's any lesson in this, it's that people will surprise you. Sometimes in the worst ways, sometimes in the best. So, yeah, if you read all this, thanks for being here. This is the last update I'll be posting here. My life barely feels like mine anymore, but I'm building it back. That Owen chapter? It's closed, even if the rest of the book is still unwritten. What's the most shocking betrayal you've ever witnessed or experienced, and how did you navigate the aftermath? Let me know in the comments below.